In this section, we are going to be talking about surface area and volume. In an earlier section, we compared volume to the amount of water that could be used to fill up a swimming pool. Another way to think about volume is the amount of space that a shoebox takes up, or the amount of water needed to fill up a shoebox. Another thing that we can calculate in geometry is something called surface area. Thinking about a shoebox, surface area would be like calculating how much material you would need to create the shoebox. You would calculate the area of each face of the shoebox. Let's see an example below. Example 1 asks us to find the surface area and the volume of the rectangular prism shown below. So recall that when we're talking about a rectangular prism, the volume is equal to the length times the width times the height. And so here, that's going to equal 8 times 2 times 4, which gives us 64 units cubed. So that is the volume for this particular three-dimensional shape. Now we're asked to find the surface area. So I'm going to color in one of the faces. So if we think about this front face here, what is that shape? So pause the video and ask yourself, what is that shape? If you said that it was a rectangle, then you would be correct. Now our goal is to figure out what is the area of that shape. Well, if it's a rectangle, it would just be the length times width, which is 4 times 2 here. So the area of this face is going to be 8. And if you look at this image here on the right, it's basically broken down. So if you thought about this as a shoebox, basically it's broken down so it's flat now. So this whole thing is a flat shoebox. And basically what we've done is we've calculated the area of that rectangle to be 8. And what we want to do is we want to calculate the areas of all of these rectangles and then add them together. And that is what's going to give us the surface area. So here, this rectangle, 8 times 2 is 16. Here, this rectangle is also going to be 16 because that's 8 by 2. This is a 2 by 4 rectangle, so that will be 8. And notice this bottom rectangle is 8 by 4, so 8 times 4 is 32. And this middle rectangle is also 32. So notice when you're talking about a rectangular prism, the faces come in pairs of equal size. And so up here, I will write that the surface area is equal to 8 plus 8 plus 16 plus 16 plus 32 plus 32. So let's go ahead and add those together. 8 plus 8 is 16. 16 plus 16 is 32. 32 plus 32 is 64. So that will be 48 plus 64. And so our final answer is 112 units squared. That is the surface area there. So in general, when we're talking about the surface area for a rectangular prism, we can use the formula surface area is equal to 2 times the length times the width plus 2 times the length times the height plus 2 times the width times the height. And that's basically just calculating the areas of each of the faces. And we're multiplying by 2 because as we saw, for example, this face was a pair with this face, and each face has a pair that has the same area along with it. So why don't you take a moment to calculate the surface area again using this formula and verifying that it matches with the 112 units squared that we got previously. Example 2 says find the surface area and the volume of the pyramid shown below. So let's calculate the volume first. And if you don't know what the volume formula for a pyramid is, it's volume equals length times width times height divided by 3. So the length and the width are both 7. So here's the length, here's the width, and then the height is this value here. So the volume is going to end up being 7 times 8, all divided by 3. And if we simplify that, we get 49 times 8 divided by 3. And let's see, 49 times 8 is 392. And I'm just going to leave my answer like that because 392 is not divisible by 3. And I'm going to put units cubed. So that is our volume. So now our goal is to find the surface area. So the surface area in this case, well, maybe we don't know the formula off the top of our head, but basically we're trying to calculate the area of each face. Now, ask yourself, if you're looking at the base of the pyramid, what shape is that? If you said a square, then you would be correct. And the area of a square is the side times the side length. So that would be 49 because it would be 7 times 7. And so this represents the area of the square base. And then we want to add on the other area faces. Now, hopefully you recognize this here, this shape here is what? Well, it's just a triangle. So let me draw out that face. That face looks something like this. And if you don't recall, the area of a triangle is equal to 1/2 base times height. So here's the height, and we know from the image that that is 10, and then we know that the base is 7. So how many faces, or excuse me, how many triangle faces does this pyramid have? If you said 4, you would be correct. So we're multiplying 4 times 1/2 the base times height. So that's going to be times 7 times 10. So let's simplify that surface area. So we'll have 49 plus 4 times, let's see, so 7 times 10 is 70, divided by 2 is 35. So we'll have 49 plus, we want to do the multiplication first. So 35 times 4 is 140. And then if we add those two values together, we get 189 units. Because we're talking about area, more specifically surface area, it's going to be 189 units squared. So that is the surface area of this pyramid.